I'm stretching my comfort zone a little by making this video. In a way, it's just a video, but in a way, I am basically coming out in public and saying I'm quitting, even though I'm not really quitting. You'll understand what I mean by that in a bit. But in a manner of speaking, I am quitting what I started off to do. Now, yesterday I thought a lot about it, and as I was thinking, there was this part in me that was like, well, you can continue making the videos, you can continue saying you're still fasting, nobody needs to know. In any case, my plan is to eat just once, like in a 5-hour window. So this voice was like, yeah, in any case, you're just like gonna eat like, in the 5-hour window. So it's okay. You don't have to tell anybody. And it wasn't that part that I was so ashamed of. But what I felt ashamed of was that I felt gravitated towards that part. I felt like, yeah, maybe you're right, So anyway, so this part came up. And then there was this other part that was like, but what if somebody finds out? And then this other part that was basically shame and guilt. Oh my God, you'll be such a terrible person. You'll be a bad person. You'll be a mean person. You'll be a da-da-da-da, not maintaining integrity, lying, blah, blah, blah. So shame and guilt part. And then this other part that was like, oh, if you do this, the universe is going to punish you. Your karma is going to get bad. All of those things, yeah. Now, I share this story of these parts to say that these parts exist in every single person I have ever come across. If they don't exist in you, or if you think they don't exist in you, basically you're either unaware of these voices and parts, or you don't want to acknowledge them, okay? Every single one of us has these parts. Now, two important things to know here. One, these are all parts that got created because there was some need, some necessity at some point of time in your life. Maybe this part that said, oh, don't tell anybody, and you can still continue doing it. And why is this part saying it? Because there's this other part of shame and guilt that feels like, so this part said, oh, you'll be such a terrible person, bad person. But this part also says, oh my God, you're going to stop this. You're going to quit this. You're not continuing with what he said. Again, shame, guilt. And shame, guilt is sort of taught to us by society, with every single thing being told to us as, okay, this means you're a good person, this means you're a bad person, that means you're a terrible person. So because this part had gotten created courtesy the society, and the society includes everybody, you, me, everybody, okay? So because this part was created, so to compensate for this part, this other part came up. Okay, how do I not feel shame and guilt? Oh, let's try to, quick fix this. So every part that we all have, all of these voices that we have, are created because there was some necessity in our life, and each of these parts have some important information for us to listen to. Not necessarily follow, but just listen in to these parts. Now, if you've done some inner work, and if you're aware enough, you'll be aware of these parts. And when you're aware of these parts, you can then, listening to these parts, not necessarily follow them, but choose what you want to do and how you want to be. But if you're not aware of these parts, the symptom of not being aware of these parts is feeling super confused, feeling overwhelmed, feeling bad about yourself, feeling guilty, feeling like you don't know what to do, all of those things. And then those things lead to anxiety, overthinking, etc., etc., because we are not consciously aware that these are just parts and voices within us. Second thing, none of these parts or voices are you. The true you is none of these parts and voices. These parts and voices are basically conditionings. These are conditioned selves. And so this is the second important thing to remember, that you are beyond these parts. These parts are not you. And when you make your decisions, when you make your choices, those decisions must come from the true you. What is the true you? Each one of us, depending on our understanding, on our life experiences, etc., will have a variation of the true you. But at its core, the true you is fully expansive, open, relaxed, because it feels safe. It can see clearly, it understands. So there is expansiveness, there is joy, there is freedom, there is wisdom in the true you, right? As I said, depending on where you are on your journey, what kind of, work in the abyss you've done in your own internal sort of underground world you've done, depending on that, there'll be a slight variation to it. But mostly, that's the true you. And once you start aligning with this true you, then you listen to these parts and voices. It's important to listen to them, not to, shoo them away. It's important to listen to them because these are also where our hurt, our traumas lie. Now, trauma can seem like a big word, but it's really not. Trauma is basically at any time where your emotions and what was actually happening got dissociated, like you couldn't make sense of what was happening and what you were feeling. That creates a sense of trauma. If you don't like the word trauma, just call it hurt. So your hurts lie in these parts, and so it's important to listen to these parts, try and understand them, understand when they were born, understand their story, etc., etc. You listen to these parts and then come back to your true self and operate from that. Now you see, there were these parts, the shame and guilt part, the universe will do, your karma will become bad, and what if somebody finds out? They were all saying to say the truth and not follow this part. I'm going to do what they said, and I'm doing what they said, but not because of their reason. There is no shame and guilt in this. There is no shame and guilt in deciding something and then at some point in time saying, oh, actually, this doesn't make sense anymore at this point in time. There's no shame and guilt in that. Somebody will find out, so what if somebody finds out? Yeah. And the whole universe, or if you think that there is a God, if you believe in God, whoever you think is the higher power, they're not out there to get us. And how universal energies work is not, oh, you did something bad will happen. That is not how it works. It is basically a cause and effect relationship. You do something, there will be an effect, and the cause and the effect's nature will be the same. And thus this whole idea of, oh, if you do something bad will happen to you because you've done something, it has a nature, let's say bad nature. So there will be an effect, and the effect will have some nature, bad nature. Yeah, it's not really good, bad, right, wrong. It's just, that's where like our own inner compass comes in, right? Our own inner alignment of our own truth comes in, to be able to see, okay, what is it that I'm doing, and what is it that I want to do, and how is it that I want to be? And so from my own sort of this inner true self, my reasoning was, number one, why did I start this 21-day fast? If you've been following me, you know that this is just a small part of my 82 days to a new me journey. And the last time that I had done my 21-day fast, that 21-day fast had sort of expanded into my next 1.5 years of really helping me shift the way I was living. But did that last? No. After that, after 1.5 years, so 2020 is when I done that fast, and then 2021 May I moved to the US, and my mind is unable to conceive moving countries. I was born and brought up in India, and then I moved to the US. My mind is unable to conceive that this is a big thing, but it is a big thing. Moving countries is a big thing, and so because that move was there, and then, as I've mentioned in my previous videos, slowly but surely, how I wanted to be started reducing, how I didn't want to be started expanding. Yeah. So this time, with this 82 days to a new me, the idea was that yes, I will have this 82 days to a new me, but then it will keep expanding. Now that 82 days is done, 3 months is done, now we are entering 2025. How do I want to be in this whole year? Yeah. And so that's the idea, and then so on and so forth, year on year, or maybe even 3 months at a time. We'll see what happens, where I am on 31st of December. So my first thought was, okay, this was coming from my experience that, 21-day fast is a great thing to sort of jump into this 82 days. The second thought was that my true inner self is truth. When I am in my true inner self, there is a lot of clarity of thought, of understanding, which brings wisdom. I can't say I am wise, but when I stand on my truth, I can see more clearly, I can make sense of things, and that wisdom automatically emerges from that, right? And So if I want the benefits of this clarity, of this wisdom, there's this eternal joy that I always feel no matter what else is happening in my life. If I want these gifts, I need to stand in my truth. And so from that space, I was like, of course, I'm going to share this. The reason of my stopping the 21 days fast is nothing to do with what you might be thinking. I'm assuming you're thinking that, maybe I wasn't feeling well, I wasn't feeling up to it, etc., etc. None of those things. In fact, so today is day 6. I haven't yet had anything. I've actually prepared a smoothie and I want to have it with you. We'll come to it in a bit. But so yesterday was day 5. In yesterday's video, I had shared that last all 3 fasts I've had the bile vomit, and this time it hasn't happened. And yesterday only I was feeling like either it will happen today or within the 2 days it's gonna happen, and then last night it happened. So now I've done the enema, let the crap out. I've done the bile vomiting, let out this, the bile that was collecting and it had started to create. Now, is something that your body is creating that usually gets utilized is not getting utilized anymore. It sort of starts becoming toxic because anything that's not helpful for your body anymore is not needed. And so vomiting, loose motion, all of these things are basically your body trying to expel what is doing harm to your body or is not needed for your body, right? And so once the bile vomit happened, I felt great. In fact, in the morning when I got up, I was like, maybe I can just continue and maybe I don't have to stop because I'm feeling great. But here's the thing. The reason I'm stopping is because a major opportunity has come across. I've come across a major opportunity in my life, and this opportunity has a steep learning curve. It needs me to read a lot, watch videos, take notes, basically study hard for the next 10 to 12 days, and thereafter put things into action. So again, it's a steep learning curve that I would have to enter into if I want to make use of this opportunity. And no matter how I feel in the fast, good, bad, ugly, I cannot do that kind of work. I cannot do that kind of cannot put that mental cognitive effort when fasting. Like just today morning as I was sitting with my trading, it was hard, it was effort, there was a lot of effort I had to put, and still it was hard to stay with it. So I know there is no way I can actually say yes to the opportunity if I'm going to do the 21-day fast. So then I had to sort of, check in with myself, and neither of the two choices are bad, right? I chose this major opportunity because at the end of the day, why was I doing the 21-day fast? For my 82 days to a new me, and that 82 days to a new me is still continuing. Nothing can stop that. So I can let go of the 21 days. If I was in another place, another point of time in my life where there was nothing else, and I was really in the space of completely wanting to reset stuff for whatever reasons, then maybe I would have chosen this. Again, neither choice is good or bad. A choice is a choice. This is the third important thing from this video, if you're still watching this video, that you should take away. There is no right, wrong, good, bad. A choice is a choice is a choice. You make a choice and then you move with it. As simple as that. Yeah. So this is my choice to make use of the opportunity that has come to me. And now this is the fourth thing. This is how life flows. And you have a choice to either flow with life or to start feeling, oh my God, what is life doing? What is life doing? What is life doing? I have no control. Now, you cannot micromanage life, but you can manage life. How do you manage life? By learning to flow with life. If you keep resisting life, that is you trying to control, micromanage life. You cannot micromanage, and maybe uncalled for advice, you cannot micromanage anybody or anything in life. That's just how life is. Now, while I'm stopping the 21 days, what doesn't stop is fasting. What I mean by that is intermittent fasting. What I'm now going to jump into or move into is something called as Fast 5. I forget the doctor's name. I'll put it down in the description who came up with this Fast 5. And there's a lot of scientific evidence behind it, etc., etc. But for me, scientific evidence is just a start for me. In my own experience, Fast 5 has been great. And Fast 5 ensures that your body is still in ketosis, there is still autophagy happening. So all the benefits of fasting you still get at a slower rate for sure. So fast 5 means I will be eating in a 5-hour window. And so the window that I'm currently choosing is 11 to 4. 11 o'clock, 11 a.m. I'll have some mixture of fruits. So fruits, fresh fruits and nuts and seeds, etc. Maybe with some yogurt someday, maybe with something else. And then afternoon I'll have like my proper lunch. So 11 a.m. that, around 2 p.m. I'll have vegetables, eggs, mixture of that. And then around 3:30 I'll have like a small snack. If you're familiar with Costco, there is this great nut bar. It is actually it is actually super healthy. It is even recommended by diabetologists. So yeah, so that's gonna be my day. And my 82 days has now shifted, since 21 days has become 5-day fasting. And so it has shifted. I'll record another video for that. What is also interesting with this 5 days is, so there is a school of thought. Now fasting has a number of schools of thoughts, okay? And so there is this school of thought that says you start fasting and you go back to eating. You don't decide how many days you want to fast. You go back to eating when hunger returns. And it is so interesting. I've shared in my previous videos that this time, first 2, 3, 4, 5 days, I did not feel hungry. There wasn't hunger. There wasn't headache. It was just yesterday that my headache started. And today morning when I got up, I started feeling hunger. And so maybe this is sort of just, universe bringing its, what is it called? So one might say, more scientifically led people might say this is a coincidence. But people who are sort of more into understanding beyond just what data is proving would say these are synchronicities. Maybe it's a synchronicity. A few reasons why I didn't want to stop this fasting. One was just because I had decided, and when I normally decide things, I follow through. And so it was gonna be, and it's hard to be out of character, right? So one of the reasons was just that. Second reason was because I had to tell you that I'm stopping this fast. And the third reason was, and this reason just happened today morning, my mother's message. So she saw my video yesterday and she was like, oh, maybe consider not stopping this 21-day fast and do it when we are there. If this was like a 10-year older version of me, I would have probably continued this 21-day fast despite everything else, just because she asked me to stop it. My mother is a great person. She has been a great mother, and she's had that quality that a lot of, not just mothers, that a lot of people tend to have, which is to try and control. And so I grew up having a lot of, being controlled. And so my teen years, my young adulthood was just like, if you ask me to do something and or ask me to not do something, I'm definitely gonna do the opposite of it, even if I originally wanted to do that. But this is also a sign for me. This is also a sign for me to, a proof of evidence for me to say, yeah, I've come a long way. I've grown. I'm sure my mother's gonna watch this and she's gonna laugh at this. Now, let's come to having. So this is banana, fresh banana, and frozen berries. So it was a mixture of strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, and then it has turmeric, and then it has cinnamon, and then it has water to sort of dilute it a little. The main reason for cinnamon and turmeric is because they're both called superfoods. Superfoods are foods that have that are rich in antioxidants, that have anti-inflammatory properties, also potentially boost immune system. Cinnamon is also known to be good for managing blood sugar levels, insulin. So yeah, and after 5 days, 5 days plus of not having eaten, let's see what happens. That feels great. You can taste the turmeric. You can feel the coolness and the sweetness of the fruits. It feels very satisfying, obviously, for obvious reasons, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna enjoy my smoothie and I'll see you next time.